Architecture is a weird major. It's the crossroads between nerdy engineering kids who didn't want to drown in calculus and thermodynamics, and art kids who draw hentai during class. So naturally, you'll get some classmates who, let's just say, aren't your average students. Now, I do not condone bullying of any kind. Harassment in any form is completely and entirely inadmissible. But there are some kids in my architecture classes that could benefit from some societal pushback for their interesting behaviors. For example, there's this one girl that everyone, and I mean everyone, knows about. We'll call her Megan. And actually, I shouldn't even call her a girl because despite standing at a mean 5'2", I'm pretty sure she's like 26 years old and married. Anyway, Megan almost always brings the most diabolical foods to class. We had a test one day for our environmental building systems class, and just as the TA is handing out the tests, she whips out like the biggest, deepest Tupperware bowl filled to the brim with mac and cheese. And after that, she brings out another container filled with asparagus and just starts chowing down. And since we're taking a test, the class is like dead silent, except for, of course, this creature's mandible making the nastiest noises as she digests her macaroni. And we could smell it too. Like, that bowl must have been in the back of her fridge for at least a week, because it felt like an actual assault on our nostrils as we were trying to determine the thermal insulation of the Eiffel Tower or some shit. And now that I think about it, maybe that was her plot the entire time, to use chemical warfare to bring down the class average. Speaking of smelliness, we of course had our fair share of stinky specimens just like any other institution, but there was this one dude whose stench was so bad that you would just be alerted of his presence if he was within a 20-meter radius of you, like just solely through his odor. I don't know what kind of food he was eating, or if he like wiped or not, or if he had heard the word shower before, but every time he'd walk in the building, you would know. I honestly don't know how these people aren't aware that they stink. I guess no one tells them and they just assume it's normal. Someone educate me in the comments on this, because I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why. Alright, last story of the day. So this one is less about someone who's weird, but more about someone that I absolutely just hated. So for my second year studio, I sat one person away from this girl we'll call Jessica. Now, Jessica liked to be rather passive aggressive. Anytime we'd have a discussion in class, I would engage with whoever was speaking and talk about different sides of the topic with them, as no one else in the room piped up very often. It was a pretty silent classroom. And I'd sometimes play devil's advocate on interesting architectural problems, like how cheap sustainable housing could potentially be more expensive than traditional housing, or how some eco-friendly firms weren't actually very environmentally protective, or whatever. And every time, without fail, she would always, in the most condescending tone, berate me in front of the class about how I didn't know what I was talking about, and that I was always the one arguing. And of course I'd reply like, oh, I'm just having a discussion, I'm not angry, I'm just playing devil's advocate. But for some reason it never got through her thick skull that she was the annoying one. And before you say, oh, maybe it was you who everyone hated, nah, I found out at the end of the semester that nearly everyone in my studio thought Jessica was a bit undesirable individual. I hope you guys enjoyed this small story time. There's a lot more where that came from. Also, I feel like I shout on everyone but myself, so if you guys want to hear anything about some truly brain dead moments that I myself have been a part of, let me know in the comments. Okay, that's it. That's all I had. Goodbye. Okay, see you next time. Subscribe. Goodbye.